Okay, so this video is for every top student in every school, and it does include mentions of Brisbane Girls Grammar, Brisbane Boys Grammar, Brisbane State High School. I have looked at 2020s from those schools and others, so definitely not limited to those three, but others as well. And it may be that you're forced to do more than one independent and dependent variable. So this video I've made because I need to cover every school. So the last thing you want to look at is the QCA exemplar, which is not specific or relevant. So to be honest with you, a lot of those top schools, because they're doing one or more independent dependent variable, it is not specific. Or it's relevant, but it's not specific because you can't do it in 2,000 words. So if you're trying to do a master's or a PhD, you can't make your question too large or too small, and these questions are too large. Another thing is there's not sufficient evidence because they're often doing combining studies and only giving one data set. But we will deal with that and fix it. Okay, so if you just look at the exemplar, I'll just look at Dove. Okay, Dove here, if I can find my mouse, has about 30 different ingredients, and that's not even including some of these things that have other ingredients besides that. So they have about over 30 independent variables, and here there's about 6 dependent variables. So obviously you can't. Honestly, it's quite difficult to do one dependent variable in just 2,000 words and fully understand all the limitations and issues with it. But that's what you'll end up doing. So what you end up finding is, even though you have maybe at best, like Brisbane State High will just have 2 dependent variables and only 1 independent variable, and worse, I won't mention names, 3 dependents and 3 independents and 6 dependents. What the marker does, and I have confirmation from their teachers and confirmers, is you just have to do it once well. So basically you're still going to operate as if you had 1 independent and 1 dependent variable. So make sure you grab the best one. You put that first and foremost in front of your list of how many you have, and make sure you grab a second study, just one more extra study. That will allow you to show some idea of accuracy and precision by putting an error bar in these graphs that you've made up based on one data set at worst and common. Okay. The next thing is, the biggest thing stopping everyone from getting that 2020 is science. So deal with that one, because you're going to get the marks on them just for one and the rest will be ignored. Make sure you have the chemical structures, reactions, and scientific prediction of what is going to happen with that one. Okay, and then because you've got the 2 studies, you can read those 2 studies in detail and see how the methods are just slightly different. And then use your chemistry to fully explain how that has given you the differences in the raw data. Even for things like melting point, things that you think are black and white are not black and white. You look at the different methods and you look at the different studies, there are different numbers for everything. All right, finally, the biggest other thing that stops the top students getting the top marks is the science also in the evaluation. So make sure, sometimes it's a repeat of here, sometimes it's something that all the studies have overlooked, something with the controlled variable, independent or dependent variable. Label that out and tell me exactly scientifically why that is an issue. It then makes it very easy to link that to give an improvement to fix it, because obviously pointed out the error, and changing one of the variables then is an extension. Okay, so biggest issue, even if you're doing 1 independent, 1 dependent variable, if you're doing many independent dependent variables, you just make sure you've picked on 1 independent, 1 dependent variable, and do great science.